Metatron, and today I'm going to be talking about Linux and wireless tools for it. I won't be going into a huge amount of detail as it'd be hard to do in one segment, although I will give you a good overview of how they work and what they do. I strongly recommend that you perhaps Google them if you do find them interesting. I strongly recommend that you actually read the screen captures, as I will not be giving out each individual command. Linux is actually a fairly simple operating system to use. It just takes a little practice. When you're dealing with wireless networking in Linux, you're dealing with multiple modes which are possible with the actual wireless card itself. The general mode you'll be using most of the time when you're connecting to your access point at home or when you're out and about will be managed mode. But other modes are quite useful. The one you'll probably most use often will be monitor mode, which allows you to passively sniff the network data, so you don't actually have to associate with the access point itself. A lot of the tools I'll be showing you today will actually be using that mode. Other modes, promiscuous mode, which is used in a similar fashion to monitor mode. It's used by sniffers quite a lot. Unlike monitor mode, it's less passive in the sense that you usually have to associate with the access point itself. Ad hoc's another one which is used from time to time. Basically, the network, if the network's ad hoc, each node will forward the data from other nodes. I suggest playing around with them, trying them out, just really sort of playing with them is probably the best idea. Another mode which is very useful is master mode. Master mode allows you to set up an actual access point with your laptop or PC or wherever you've got your network card connected to. The next thing I'm going to be talking about are 802.11 frames which are used wireless networking. The best way to actually understand wireless frames would be to actually get a copy of something like Wireshark and then capture data while you're generally using your network and actually looking at the contents of everything you capture. It'd be hard to actually go into a huge amount of detail in one segment. The best way to actually understand it would be to do a search on Google and then read the available material. But I can give you a brief overview in this segment of what it does. The 802.11 standard defines various frame types that network cards and access points use for communication, as well as the management and control of wireless. Every frame has a control field that depicts the 802.11 protocol version, frame type, and other things such as is WEP-ON, is power management active. In addition, frames contain things such as MAC addresses of the source and destination station, an access point, a frame sequence number, a frame body, and a frame check sequence which is used for error detection. 802.11 data frames carry protocol and data for higher levels within the frame body. A data frame, for example, could carry the HTML code for a web page complete with the TCP/IP headers that the user is viewing. Other frames that stations use for management and control carry specific information regarding the wireless link in the frame body. For example, beacon frame body contains the service set identifier, timestamp, and other information regarding the access point. I won't actually go into all the different types of frames, as I'm sure it would probably put you to sleep. If you're actually interested in this subject, I strongly recommend you check Google out and look into the subject yourself. Now for us to actually get into the actual tools. The first tool I'm going to be talking about is Raw Fake AP. Raw Fake AP is a tool used to produce multiple fake access points. It can come in useful if you have issues with war drivers in your area, as it can help put them off by actually disguising your real access point in with as many fake access points as you choose to generate. The fake access points it actually puts out will appear on things like Kismet, AeroDumpNG, Network Stumbler, and will look real to the actual person that's driving by. The tool itself actually works in monitor mode, which I explained earlier. It allows you to randomize whether your fake access points are open or protected with different types of encryption, such as sweep or WPA. Allows you to randomize whether it's a B or G card. It does channel hopping. You can randomize SSIDs. You can choose your beacon intervals. You can obviously choose the number of access points you wish to generate. But the best thing to actually do with it is to feed an actual list of SSIDs, as the ones it automatically generates are fairly unbelievable, in the sense that I wouldn't believe they were real access points, and I'm sure anyone that actually drives past your property wouldn't believe they were real access points. These lists are available online, you just need to search for them. I was actually talking about frames earlier. If you actually are interested in how frames work, I strongly recommend actually firing up Wireshark and then capturing some data from your fake access point. You basically compare it against real access points and fake access points. There are a couple of differences. Tools like Ycrawl will actually will actually pick them out as fake most of the time. But the sort of average run-of-the-mill war driver tool, it will just look like any other access point. The next tool I'm going to be talking about is a tool called Raw Glue AP. Raw Glue AP is a program that catches wireless stations searching for preferred SSIDs. The tool catches probe requests, sends back appropriate probe responses. It tries to capture authentication and association requests. Again, the actual understanding of different kinds of frames will actually allow you to better understand this particular tool. This type of tool is really useful. Rather than actually attacking the access point itself, you're trying to go after the actual clients trying to connect to the access points. There are other tools similar to this, such as Karma, which is an actual better tool for the job. The only problem with it is you really do need to use the modified MAD Wi-Fi drivers to get the best out of it. This can be an issue for some people due to the actual MAD Wi-Fi drivers themselves require you to have a Firos-based wireless card. The nice thing about Raw Fake AP over, say, Karma, although it doesn't capture as much data and it doesn't do sort of as good a job, it does work with pretty much any card that I've tried that supports monitor mode. It's a very simple program to use. If you actually want to know more information about what it's doing, the best way to actually understand it would be to fire up Wireshark. Now, Wireshark is an excellent program. I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail with it, but I strongly recommend it for actually understanding how an actual network works, whether it be a wired network or a wireless network. I spoke about this tool briefly earlier. The tool's called Karma. Karma is a set of tools for assessing the security of wireless clients at multiple layers. It does a very similar job to Raw Glue AP, but it does it slightly better due to the modified MAD Wi-Fi drivers. It has a wireless sniffing tool for discovering clients and their preferred and trusted networks by passively listening for 802.11 probe request frames. An understanding of frames will actually allow you to better understand this tool. The next tool I want to talk about is a tool called BT Scanner. BT Scanner is a hugely popular tool for scanning for Bluetooth devices. I simply use the ls USB command to list all USB devices currently plugged into my laptop. You don't really need to do this. I solely do it just so I can see that my device is actually plugged in and running. When you run the BT Scanner command, it will actually bring it out for you. BT Scanner itself will give you a list of options when you first run it. You generally want to hit I first to do a scan for all active devices. You can do a brute force scan, although depending on the address range you give it, it can take quite some time doing an entire scan. Although it can be quite useful if you're looking at things like Motorola phones, and I know other phones can be set to actually hide phones like the Sony Ericsson has an option for it, although it's not on by default. This actual program can be very entertaining, whether you're sitting at a pub with your laptop or just sitting outside. seeing what people actually call their sort of phones and their Bluetooth devices. The actual BT scanner itself will actually display a series of information, and it will display the time it actually discovered the object, it will display the address, and it will display the class, the name, and so on. It still can be a lot of fun to play around with. It's very easy to use and well worth installing and running. The next tool I want to talk about is called T-Bear. Now T-Bear is very similar to BT Scanner and does a lot of the same things. It will actually scan for active Bluetooth devices. It will also do a brute force scan using TB search. I tend to find BT Scanner is a slightly easier program to use, and it's certainly more integrated, although depending on your personal tastes you can pick and choose for them. T-Bear does offer a few other options. It has a DOS tool built into it, although it's not hugely useful. It's something you can play around with. It can be slightly harder to install for new people to Linux. I've had people tell me that they've had issues installing it. It's a matter of practice, really. The more time you actually spend with Linux, the easier you'll find it. If you're actually playing around the DOS tool in T-Bear, you actually have to provide it with the actual address of the device you actually want to attack. You can obviously use T-Bear to actually do the search for this, or you can use BT Scanner for it. Just simply copy and paste it. The next tool I want to show you is a tool called Redfang. Redfang is a small proof of concept application to find non-discoverable Bluetooth devices. This is done by brute forcing the last 6 bytes of the Bluetooth address. Again, this tool is not particularly necessary nowadays, as you can do a brute force scan inside of BT Scanner. You can also obviously do a brute force scan from T-Bear. It's one of those things where you can use it if you want to use it. It's all about personal taste, really. With Linux, there's lots of programs that can do the same thing. Some do it slightly better than the next. It's a good idea to actually play around with them, find one that you like and use it. Redfang is a very easy tool to use. By simply going into the directory which you actually built it in and doing the /fang command with a -h, it will actually bring up the help list. You can simply follow that list to actually make the tool work. One thing you do have to provide it with is the actual address range you wish to scan. I'd strongly recommend playing around with this, although if for some reason you can't build it, you're probably better off using BT Scanner, as BT Scanner, if you're say on Ubuntu, is simply an apt-get away. The last tool I want to talk about today is a tool called Car Whisperer. Car Whisperer is used to connect to and log information from things like Bluetooth headsets and hands-free kits in cars. It simply connects to them and uses the pin number which I usually have, which is most of the time 0000. Very simple tool to use. You'll have to start off with running a BT scanner to actually discover the device you're going after first off, and actually get the address information which you can then feed into Car Whisperer. Another feature of Car Whisperer is the ability to actually play sound over the actual device that you're connected to. This can be incredibly funny, particularly if you're at somewhere like Starbucks or you're near a load of taxis. You'll tend to find a lot of Bluetooth headsets near these places, and if someone's talking to someone, playing some random noise, whether it be something like a small sample of porno music, a line roaring, it can be any kind of random sound you want, or a specific sound. I've got to admit that there's nothing funnier than seeing someone ordering something and some like dodgy music opens up in the background. The expression on their face is sort of priceless, really. As you can see, once you've actually discovered the device with BT Scanner, you can copy and paste it into Car Whisperer itself. unfortunately, I was actually filming this inside my home, so I had to use a Bluetooth device, which was in pieces, really. But you'll get a much better result if you're actually out and about doing it rather than sat at home. Like a lot of Linux tools, by simply doing the // and the name of the tool you actually want to run, and then for doing the -H, it will actually bring up the help file for you, actually give you each of the options which you have to feed into it. With Car Whisperer, as long as you've got the address, there are a few other bits of information you need, but if you follow the actual help, you can actually get it running perfectly fine. The file that it outputs to is playable back by tools such as Audacity. I hope some of the things I've talked about today have interested you enough to go out and find more information. There are other tools that I haven't mentioned, particularly for Bluetooth, such as Bluebugger, BlueSnarf, and tools that run on phones, such as Bluver. The main reason I didn't mention these was the fact that they're reliant on people having older phones with a number of different security issues. I wish I was unable to come up with these phones in short time, which pretty much eBay is the only place you're going to be able to find these phones nowadays. If you have any questions, feel free to email the show and I will answer them to the best of my ability. I'm certainly not one of the best speakers in the world. I'm usually better in text.